Hey, welcome to SDRTK. Today we're going to look at how to stream with processed audio but record unprocessed audio. Let's check it out. Now, I know a lot of you like to have very finished sounding audio coming out with your stream, so you use processing like noise reduction, equalizers, or compression. But the issue is if things aren't 100% right, and you just simply go ahead and record that audio, you could end up having a hard time getting that recording ready to post to your other platforms like YouTube. And in case you're interested, I'm recording the audio today using the Shure MV7X. The MV7X is a brand new microphone from Shure that's very similar to the previous MV7, except it doesn't have USB function, but it does have improved XLR audio quality. And I like to use new microphones for a couple of videos just so I can really put them through their paces. But if you'd like more info, check out my review. I've got it linked below in the description. And I'm going to be using OBS Studio today for this demonstration, so let's load this up and get it done. Okay, and now we got OBS Studio opened up, and you can see that I've set up just a demonstration scene here. I have a couple of video sources. I put the room capture up on the screen here, and then for audio sources, I only have one device. In this case, I've hooked up the Scarlett 8i6, and I have this process for stream. And all that means here is that I'll just go into it, and I'll show you. In filters, I've set up a basic plug-in chain here with noise suppression, some EQ for cuts, tone, compression, and also an expander. And so that's kind of a basic, fairly representative example of what compression and processing would look like for stream audio. But again, if I record with this right now, I'm going to end up with just that simple audio for recording. So what I need to do is set this up so that I can stream out this and record without all those filters. So the way I'm going to do that, first of all, is I'm going to add another audio device. Now, a lot of times you can simply go in and just copy. I could right-click on this and go copy. But in this case, what I want to do is have it separate. So I'm going to go add. In my case, this is an ASIO input capture, but you could also just have an audio capture. And we're going to call this Scarlett 8i6 without processing. And there we go. And I'll simply go ahead and set the device up. I've got my Focusrite on USB here. And I'm going to go ahead and capture input number 1 because that's the input where I have the microphone I want to use for this stream. So I've gone ahead and done that. I'll go OK. And I'll actually drag this one down here to my group of audio sources so they're all together. So now what we have is under audio sources, we have a processed and a without processing. And you can see that I have both sources have showed up in the bottom here on the mixer. Now I have a little more volume on the unprocessed, or on the processed rather, versus the unprocessed. And so what I can do, I can even them out a little bit if I like, but usually we want the unprocessed to be a little bit lower. That way we have some headroom in the final processing of our recording. So I can even back that off just a little bit, so leave myself a little more headroom. But what I want you to see is we still have our process stream with all of these filters. And then we have our unprocessed source with no filters. So we're partway there, but we're still not recording both ways. Because what will happen is if I go into advanced audio properties, and I can just click the gear on either one of these, and we'll go advanced audio properties, you see that we have both of these devices. We have the process for stream that I'd previously set up. I have it on monitor and output. And I have it set up for track number 1, but nothing here is set up for the without processing. So first thing I'm going to do is enter the sync offset because I happen to have a sync offset for this mic and this interface, and I want it to be the same for both. That'll keep the audio and video in sync. I need to turn on the recording at least. So I'll turn on monitor and output. And here what I'm going to do is turn off the other tracks other than track number 2. See, when you stream, everything from track 1 is what goes out on your stream. So we have our processed for the stream going to track 1, and I have the unprocessed audio going out to track number 2. So now we have those two separate. But we need to do one more thing to get OBS to record the unprocessed audio in a separate track from processed audio. And so what I'll do is I'll go into the File menu and choose Settings. And in this case here, I'm going to go to Output and choose the Recording tab. Now you'll see here that it has an audio track selection where I can choose which tracks are recorded. And normally it might only be on number 1. And so it's going to record, in this case, the processed audio. But if I select number 2, Now the audio files that are recorded will be both the processed and unprocessed audio, and then I'll have an opportunity to choose what I want when I go to do my final editing before I post the recorded video. So after that, I can just simply go apply and OK, and now we're all set up to do that. And what I'll do is I'll simply click record in here, and now we're recording a track that has both the processed audio on track number 1 and the unprocessed audio on track number 2. But the key here is that the streamed audio is going to be going out with the processed chain input, and the recording is going to have one track for processed and one for the unprocessed audio. Well, let's go ahead and load that recording up in Premiere so we can take a look at the multi-track audio we've now recorded with OBS. Okay, and now I've loaded up Premiere Pro and I have that recording here, and you can see that we have our one video channel and then we have 2 tracks for audio. And they're all linked here, they're synced up, so we have both here. If I play this, it'll sound voice doubled, which is not what we want. But we have the option here. We can simply mute one channel or the other. So channel 1 is the processed audio. So if I click mute, I'll only have the unprocessed. Or if I click mute on the unprocessed, it'll give me the processed audio only. So we can simply do that. We can leave, for example, the processed one muted and do our work here on the second channel. We can do that by going ahead into the audio effects, and we can simply choose our plugins that we want to use, in this case on audio track number 2. So here we could go in and add compression, equalization, anything we want. I won't do it for this demonstration because it'll be the same as whatever you normally would use to process your audio, but this is how we can go ahead and add that into the track, and then we'll have the processing as we want it completed for the recording. And this will work the same whether you use Premiere or Resolve, Final Cut Pro, whatever video editor of your choice. And again, you could simply leave those 2 tracks in there and mute one of them, but what I like to do is actually remove one. If I'm going to create a processing chain for finished audio here, I don't necessarily need to keep the completed stream audio the way it went out. So let's take a look at that. Okay, so let's get rid of that processed audio. So in Premiere, what I need to do is click on that sequence. I'll right-click and I'll choose Unlink. And that way I can select the video and the audio separately. And I'll just select the processed audio. I'll right-click on it and I'll simply clear this. And so now it's gone. And I can go ahead and move the track 2 up into the track 1 position. Then I'll select both with the Shift key and click, and then I'll simply go link. And so now I've reconstructed that, but this time I have the video with the unprocessed audio only. And some of you may say, well, why didn't you just shut off track 1 recording in OBS, and this way we would have only had the track 2 recording in the first place? And that's a really good point, but sometimes it's nice to have that processed audio that went out on the stream so that you can compare the sound of what you're creating for the finished audio in the recording versus the way it went out live. But either way, whether you want to compare the live processed audio against your ultimate finalized processing for recording, or you just want to record unprocessed audio and then do your final mix, that's up to you. And so whether you're live streaming or recording a video to post later, you always like to get the best possible sound for your viewers. And so it's a great idea to have a process chain going out with the live stream. But for recording, it's sure nice to have that unprocessed audio to go back to, start from scratch, and produce the best possible sound that you can get. And it sure is nice to have that unprocessed audio to fall back on, just in case something went really wrong with the live audio going out on your stream. And you can use the same technique to separate out your game audio and music tracks from your recording, so that when you ultimately post that video, you're in full control of what goes out. If you'd like to learn more about how to level up the audio in your streams and recordings, check out this video. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.